I just wanted to do a little sharing today. I was just thinking about probably maybe 10 or so years ago, we sold our Kingdom Hall because we were going to get a larger property uh, not too far away from the existing property, and we were going to put a double Kingdom Hall on this property. And I just got to thinking, we all know that as witnesses, we were taught that if you have something like an old book, you would destroy it. You wouldn't sell it for money or profit. You would destroy it so that it would not go into someone else's hands for false worship. And no one would benefit from that. So if you have an item that, even though it's valuable, you want to get rid of it. So that made me think about the Kingdom Hall that we were selling. And, it was time, we've been in that location for a long time, and the building had some structural issues or some sort of issues, they were saying. So we sold the Kingdom Hall to another religious group. I don't recall who it was exactly at this point, but it was another congregation that moved in and held their services there. So that made me think, well, how can they justify selling the Kingdom Hall to another group for false worship? Does that make sense? And, well, there is no answer for that, and I know that, and you know that. But it is really something to think about. I mean, that does not jive. So it made me think about this little story that I wanted to share about that when we were selling the Kingdom Hall. And I just thought, wow, that's good, because it was a nice hall, and it was in a great location, and it was convenient for everybody, and, I liked our hall. We had one of the brothers paint a mural on the back of the Kingdom Hall. It was beautiful. Small, but it was beautiful, and I thought it was just fine, actually. And but of course, Jehovah's needs advancement. So they, of course, passed a resolution to sell the Kingdom Hall, and by taking out a loan and buying this new property. And of course, you have to raise your hand if you're a baptized member to agree or disagree to this resolution being passed. So I was just not digging this whole, taking on a new mortgage payment, for the Kingdom Hall, an expense, and they gave out little slips of papers, what every publisher or household thought that they could contribute to pay for this new Kingdom Hall. And, it was a poorer area. It wasn't poor, but it wasn't rich by no means. And I just didn't think it was necessary. I just thought, whatever changes or, upgrades needed to be made to the current building should be made, and call it a day. The end's coming, so, why are we worrying about it? I just couldn't get with it. I'm thinking, what is the point of all this? So so we had this resolution passed, and I could not get on board with this. So when, they said to everyone to raise their hand, who was in agreement with selling this property, I was not going to raise my hand. I was not going to raise my hand because I just didn't think it was necessary, and the end's coming. I mean, come on, people. So I could feel, this is all about how I feel, but I felt as if there was a spotlight. Just because everybody had their hand raised and mine was not, I just felt heat just rising up. And I just felt like a spotlight was on me, and I was just so embarrassed, but not as much as I was determined not to get this new Kingdom Hall. And of course, everybody's thinking about, how I'm going against Jehovah's will, how, I'm not following the lead of the brothers by, going along with their decisions being made for the congregation, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't brave enough, and I wished I could say that I was. I wasn't brave enough to raise my hand when they said anyone in opposition to this resolution. Couldn't go that far with it, but just not raising my hand was horrendous enough. I just can't even imagine if I don't know. I couldn't do it at that time. I wished I could. Doggone it. But anyway, so that's what made me think about that. About Mike and Kim's video about the taking the resolution to get so much per publisher. You have to check out their video about that. But yeah, and later, after I had went through this, what I felt was a humiliating experience by not raising my hand, I overheard a sister talking to another sister, and she was saying the exact same thing I was thinking about, like, why are we doing this? And that's a lot of money, and I don't think that that's a burden on the brothers and sisters in the hall, and it didn't make sense to them either. So I was not the only one who did not want this kingdom. Only nobody was brave enough to raise their hand and say no. Not one single person. And I think there was like 120 publishers or so, if I had to guess. But that is the power that the brothers' decisions hold. That you, even if your gut is telling you, no, this is not a good idea, this is not right, we can't afford this, you cannot go against the grain. It's really hard. But I just wanted to share that little story because just something I remembered here lately. But so back to the Kingdom Hall. I think that is very interesting, and how they can justify selling off their properties to other religious groups. I think they have some explaining to do. Anyway, just something to share. Thanks.